Hi friends, it's Lisa Mears here. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the Stamps of Life Club products for the month of March of 2025. And I'll also be sharing some cards that I made with these products. So first I want to start out by showing the Stamp and Die Hard Club set. This is called Thoughtful Flowers, and you get this pitcher. There is a stamp for the water to put in the pitcher. You also get the stems and the flowers. There's also this stamp that you can put the insides of the flowers. You get a bow and lots of sentiments. So some of the sentiments are flowers to brighten your day, happy birthday. There's heartfelt, hello, warm wishes, get well. So this stamp set can be used for so many different occasions. If you are a Stamp Club member, you'll get the stamp set, and if you're a Die Hard Club member, you'll get the stamp and the coordinating dies. So let's move on and take a look at the card kit for the month. This card kit is called Kind Thoughts, and there are so many pretty spring colors in this card kit. I want to start out by showing you the color palette. So I'll take the cardstock out of this storage envelope. This is a plastic storage envelope that you get with all of your card kits. You also get a pack of envelopes. They're white envelopes for all of your finished A2 size cards. So for the colors of cardstock, you get the color Sea Glass. There's also Razzleberry, Pixie, Bubblegum, Lemonade, Cantaloupe, Sage, and Pansy, which is a dark purple, and there are 4 sheets of the powdered sugar, which is the white cardstock. Such a pretty color palette. The paper pad is the Kind Thoughts collection, and there are lots of pretty flowers all in the color palette that you just saw. There are stars, so on the reverse of all of these pages are stars in all of the different colors. You also get hearts. There's the stars in yellow. Here are the die cut shapes that you can cut out with the coordinating dies. So if you are a Die Hard Club member, you will have those dies that you can cut those shapes out and use them on your cards. And those do make for some quick and easy cards because they're already colored for you. Here are some pictures of flowers that are in all the different colors of the color palette. Here's some pink with the white stars. You also have the word Kind Thoughts, and this is the word die that you also get in the card kit. So here's a look at the word die. You have the words and the shadow, and the paper pad shows what it looks like when it's die cut. You also have the green with the stars, and then there are some more shapes that you can cut out, but these require the Thoughtful Vases die set, which is an additional purchase. It's not part of any of the clubs, so if you want those dies, you'll have to purchase those on the Stamps of Life website separately. So here is the purple in the star pattern. You also have the polka dots. There are some solids. Here's some smaller hearts, some more stars, and some more of the picture of flowers. Here's a pink with the stars and some smaller Kind Thoughts. And then it starts all the way back at the beginning. You get 2 of each one of the pieces of pattern paper that you saw in the paper pad. You also get this A1 picture card folded die set, and here is everything that's included. So you get the large picture. You also get 3 flowers and a bow. You can use this die set to make a shaped card, and you can even put this on the front of a card. I'll be working with that in this video today. Here are some sentiment stickers. There are a total of 6 sentiments that you can use on your cards. And there's also a sheet of puffy stickers, so you get the flower pictures and some individual flowers and some sentiments on that sheet. There's also these embellishments. These are bow embellishments. And if I turn this over, you'll see that it's not flat on the back. If you want to attach this to cardstock, you might need to use some hot glue. There is a hole in the center, so if you wanted to stick some string in there, you could probably create some kind of dangle embellishment with that. There are some felt flowers in the raspberry color, and there is some ribbon in the cantaloupe color. So that concludes all of the contents of the card kit. I will be using these products to make some cards today. If you're not currently a member of any of the clubs and you want to join in on the fun, I will have a link down in the description box below, which you can click on to find out more information about all of the Stamps of Life clubs. And if you use my affiliate code Lisa Mears or click on the link, you will get $5 bonus club points to spend in the Stamps of Life store. So let's go ahead and make some cards today. I'm going to start out using the A1 picture card folded die set. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel like the hardest part of making cards is picking the colors that I want to use. And if you recall, there is a piece of pattern paper in the paper pad that has all different colors of the picture with the flowers that you can use for inspiration with this watering can. So you have the purple with the yellow flowers. There's also the peach with the purple flowers. There's teal and pink. And all of these colors are the colors of the cardstock that came in the card kit. So I think I'm going to go with the peach picture with the purple flowers. And I'm going to use the cantaloupe color for the picture, and then I have the pansy and the pixie color for the flowers. So the darker purple will be for my shadow, and then the lighter purple will be for the top layer of the flower. So I've done my die cutting, and I'll pull out the dies here so you can see them. So this die here on the right, I die cut the cantaloupe cardstock. The die on the left, I die cut out of white cardstock, and you'll see that here shortly. But I want to start out by adding some ink to the edges of this picture with the cantaloupe cardstock, and I'm just using some ink that closely matches the color of cardstock that I have selected, and I'm just going to ink around the edges. I'm going to fold down the top of the picture here so I can get in that fold. And I'm just going to add some ink. I think adding the ink adds some really nice depth and definition to the die cut pieces. So just to show you real quick this other layer that I die cut out of the white cardstock, and that's the shadow die, and those two pieces will layer just like this. I'm not going to glue those together yet. Instead, I'm going to clean off my workstation so that I don't have any ink left behind, because I'm going to do some more inking of the flowers. So I have a few dies here for the flowers. Now the flowers come in a small, medium, and large size. And the top layer I cut with the pixie cardstock, that's the light purple. And then I also cut the centers out with the white. So I die cut them a second time to get that white for the center. And then the shadow I did cut with the pansy cardstock, which is that dark purple, but I'm only going to add ink to the lighter cardstock. I'm going to add some purple ink to the edges of all of those petals. Next, I'm going to start gluing these pieces together. When you're adding the lighter purple to the darker purple, or the top layer to the bottom layer, make sure that you have them lined up with the petals in the correct way, because some of the petals are bigger or different sizes than the others. So they do go on in a certain way, and I just have to make sure that I have them correct before I glue them down. So I'm just going to add all of those flowers to the shadow. And once I have them all glued down, I'm going to add some glue to the center of the flower, and then add that little centerpiece. And again, that centerpiece, it has to fit in there perfectly like a puzzle. So I'll go ahead and finish up the other two flowers by adding the white center. And then I'm going to work on the bow. So there are two dies for the bow, but it actually cuts out three separate, I shouldn't say pieces, because there are more than three pieces, but there are like three separate types of sections of the bow. So you have the shadow, and then you have this outline that it cuts out, and then that top layering piece also cuts out all of those center pieces. So you can see all the pieces that are there on the table. So there are several different pieces for that. So I die cut the shadow out of white cardstock. And I went in my stash and grabbed some darker pink cardstock. This is the candy cardstock. And I cut the outline out with that. And I went ahead and glued that outline to the shadow. And then I'm actually going to ink up the edges of the inside pieces, which I die cut that top layer of the bow again with some of the bubblegum cardstock, which is the light pink, and that's what I'm inking right now. So I'm going to piece in all of those lighter pink colors into that bow. So I'll go ahead and hold this up so you can see what it looks like. So there's the finished bow. Now I'm ready to make my card. So real quick, I want to show you what the size of this would look like if you put it on an A2 size card base. You can see that the picture takes up most of that card front. So if you were doing that, you'd want to put your flowers on the picture itself. But I want to have my flowers extend out of the top of the picture. So I'm not going to be using the A2 size card base. Instead, I have a 5x7 card base. And this larger card base will allow me to have the picture so that the flowers come out of the top. So I'm going to start building up the layers here for my actual card. And I have a piece of the cantaloupe cardstock that I cut down to 5x7 inches. And I did cut the center out just because I wanted to save that cardstock in case I might need to use cantaloupe cardstock again down the road. That's a large piece of cardstock and I didn't want it to go to waste. So I just took a rectangle die and cut the center out. And now I'm just placing the rest of that cardstock on my 5x7 card base. Next, I'm going to add a piece of pattern paper, and I'm using the Kind Thoughts paper. I cut this down to 4 7/8 by 6.5. So I really just cut off a strip on the left-hand side to make it fit for the width of my card, and I didn't cut anything off the bottom. I used the full length of that piece of pattern paper. I'm going to go ahead and add this so that just a little bit of the cantaloupe paper is extending beyond the edges, and I still have a little space there at the bottom that I need to put some paper on. So I took this pink and white paper and I cut that down to 4 7/8 wide by 1 inch tall, and I'm going to go ahead and add that to the bottom of the card. So that picture is going to go in the center of that card. I also used the die from the Die Hard Club set and die cut 2 of the stems out of the sage cardstock. Those are the stems that I'm going to use for my flowers. Now I am going to cut them a little bit so that they're not all bunched together. And I'll do that in a few minutes, but first I need to make sure I get the right position for my picture before I glue it down. So I just want to make sure I am putting it in the right spot so I still have room for the flowers at the top. And once I figure out where exactly I want this to go, I'm going to glue down the shadow layer. And I'm not going to attach the top layer yet because those stems are going to go between the top layer of the picture and the bottom layer of the picture. So here's where I'm just going to position those stems and flowers and just cut them so that they're not all bunched together, and I want to make sure I don't have all that white space in the middle. So I'm going to be cutting them and then positioning them so they're a little bit more spaced out. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing them down to the card, and I'm going to position them so that they are a little bit closer together in the middle. And then I'm going to position the flowers on top and just kind of see where they fall. I'm going to go ahead and glue those flowers down, starting with the ones on the sides. And then the one in the middle, I am going to pop up on some foam so that it's a little bit popped up in the middle. I'll go ahead and add the picture to the top. So as I look closely at this, it looks like there's a little bit of a disconnect with this middle flower and the stem. So I just cut another one and I'm just going to kind of wedge it in here underneath that flower and glue it down so it looks like it's more fully connected to a stem. Next, I'm going to add the large bow to the picture. And then for the sentiment, I'm going to be using one of these stickers. I will be putting some foam on the back so it's popped up in front of the picture. And that sentiment is going to go on the bottom left side. It says, "Happy birthday, my friend." Next, I'm going to take some of these silver glitter pops of color and I just put them on the tip of a paintbrush and I'm just painting them on the petals of the flowers, and this is just going to add some glitter or sparkle to those flowers. That will need to dry because that is wet, so just let that dry, which isn't going to take very long at all, and that card is complete. So moving on, I'm going to be using the dies for the Die Hard Club set, and I'm going to be making this picture of flowers with those dies. So I die cut the picture out of the sea glass cardstock, and I just inked up the edges with an ink that resembles the same color cardstock. And then for the bow, I die cut out of the bubblegum cardstock, and I'm also inking that up as well. I die cut the flower die out of yellow cardstock and I'm inking the flowers up with the yellow ink. Now this die right here is for the center of the flowers and I die cut those out of pink cardstock, and I'll go ahead and add some glue to the center of each one of those flowers and add the centers. Now it does look like a star shape, so I'm just going to call them stars and I'll add those stars to the center. Since those stars are so small, it's easy for me to use my Scrapbookcom Craft Pick Pro tool to pick them up with the wax tip and then place them on the center of each one of those flowers. So let's go ahead and start putting this card together. I have this piece of pattern paper I cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then I also am using the Scrapbookcom nested stitch stamp dies, and I die cut the second largest one out of white cardstock, and I'm going to add that to the center of the pattern paper. So any extra supplies that I use in this video, I will have them linked down in the description box below in case you're interested in finding out more about anything else that I've used here. So once that's added to the pattern paper, I'm going to go ahead and start building up this picture of flowers. So the picture is going to go to the center of that frame all the way towards the bottom, and then I'm going to add the stems. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back and then tuck those behind that picture. Now I'll go ahead and add the picture to the card front. Next, I'm going to refer to my little stamp set here as to which flowers go where. And in reality, you don't really need to refer to this, but it is helpful, especially because these flowers are different sizes and you can kind of gauge which size goes where so that you can easily place all of these flowers where they need to go. I am using my tweezers to pick up those flowers and then easily place them on the card front. After I add all of those flowers, I'm going to add the bow. I'm going to add that to the flower picture, and then for the sentiment I'm using one of the puffy stickers and it says "Beautiful Friend," and I chose that sticker because the color matches the sea glass color of the picture. And then I'm just going to add that to an A2 size card base. And I felt like the center of that bow needed something else, so I'm using some of my pops of color. This is the Unicorn Tears, which is a pink glitter, and I just added a dot right in the center of that bow. So moving on, I'm going to be using the stamp set to make this next card. I have a piece of white cardstock cut out with a pretty pink Posh Eyelet rectangle die. And I'm going to do some stamping here. I'm going to start by stamping my sentiment that says flowers to brighten your day. I'm going to put that in the lower left hand portion of that rectangle, and I'm going to stamp this out with some black ink. I'm going to go ahead and clean that stamp and remove it from my MISTI, and I'm going to take the stem stamp and I'm going to position it right to the right hand side of that sentiment. And then once I have it where I want it, I'm going to stamp that down. The ink that I'm using for this is the Sea Glass ink from Catherine Pooler. You can use any green ink. This is just what I had on hand. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up, and then I'm going to pull out the flower stamp and I'm going to position it so that it lays perfectly at the tip of the stems. Now, one hint I have for you here is that when you're stamping out these flowers, use a lighter color ink. That way you can stamp a center to those flowers and you'll still be able to see the ink color. So if you use too much of a dark ink, like let's say you used a dark purple, it would be really hard to add a center to those flowers unless you stamped out the center in like a Versamark ink and sprinkled embossing powder and then heat embossed. But otherwise, if you're just wanting to use ink and make it simple, using a lighter ink for the petals will allow you to use another color ink to stamp the center and you'll still be able to see it well. So I stamped a pink ink inside of those petals, and then I added the bow. And now I'm going to finish up this card. I added the star pattern paper, the green star pattern paper, to the card base. And then I'm adding some foam on the back of the white piece that I did the stamping on because I wanted that to be popped up on the card front. And then I'll just add that right to the center. Now I do need to fill in that white area in the top left with something because it's too empty. So I am going to add some pearls from my stash to that area. I also decided to add a center to this bow like I did with the previous card. So I used the pops of color and added a center. For my next card, I wanted to make a little scene card, so I am bringing in some other dies from my stash. These are some dies from Trinity Stamps. They are dies that make a fence, grass, as well as a hillside border. I think dies like this are a staple in any card maker's collection, just like nesting dies are. So what I'm going to do here is I have this piece of sage cardstock. I've cut it to 4 inches by 2 inches, and I'm taking this hillside border and I'm going to just die cut the very top of this piece of cardstock. Now my dies are slimline in size, so they do work with slimline size cards, but you can still use them on smaller cards as well. So this die puts a stitched border around the top of the hill on the cardstock, and I'm just adding some of my green ink here to add some ink to the edges just to add some more depth to this cardstock. I also took the grass die and die cut a piece of grass using the same color sage cardstock, and then I die cut the fence out of the white cardstock. I also have a piece of pattern paper cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm going to add the hillside border to the bottom of that pattern paper. It is going to line up perfectly because they're both 4 inches wide. And next I'm going to add my picket fence across the bottom, but I'm going to space it so that it's a little bit higher up than the edge of the card because I'm going to have the grass that's covering the very bottom of that picket fence, and the grass is going to end up going at the very bottom edge of that card layer. So I went ahead and put glue on the picket fence. I'll go ahead and attach it on the bottom of the card, and then I'm going to attach the grass so that it's covering up the bottom edge. Now I am going to snip off the edge here because it's extending beyond that card panel. And then I'll go ahead and add the grass. And with the grass, I'm going to cut the ends off as well because they are a little bit too long. I'm going to use the puffy stickers. Now, if you are not a card kit member and maybe you're only a Stamp and Die Hard Club member, you can just use the dies or stamp out a picture with the flowers. But I'm going to go ahead and use the puffy stickers. I think these are so pretty. And add the puffy sticker to the card and these little flowers. I'm going to add some to the fence and some to the grass area. I am going to bring in some cloud dies, and I'm using the nested stitched clouds from Scrapbookcom. I die cut a few clouds out of white cardstock, and I'm using a sun. This sun is from a die set from Pretty Pink Posh. I don't recall the name of it, but I will have it linked below. Some of you may have clouds and a sun in your stash, and you can use any that you might have. And those will be layered at the top of the card. I want to figure out where I'm going to put a sentiment. I wanted to use the word smile from the puffy stickers. So I'm just trying to arrange those flowers down at the bottom to figure out how I can do this so that it will look nice and balanced. Okay, so I went ahead and figured out how I want the bottom to look. I added the flowers and the sentiment, and now I'm going to finish up the top part and have that sun tucked between the clouds. I am going to have one of the clouds popped up with some foam. So I'm just going to cut some foam down to size and put it on the back of one of these clouds. I did make it so that one of the clouds is extending beyond the edge of the card layer, so I'm just going to snip off the edge of that. And then I wanted to bring in another cloud on the left side, and I'm going to snip off the left and the top of that cloud since it's extending beyond the top and left side. And now I'm just going to add that to an A2 size card base. I really love making scene cards, and I think this card turned out super cute. So these are the cards that I made with the Stamps of Life Club products for the month of March. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know which card is your favorite. If you're interested in joining any of the Stamps of Life clubs, please check out the link in the description box below. And if you're interested in any of the additional supplies you saw in this video, please check the description box as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like videos like this and want to see more, make sure you click that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.